Hello everybody, Halkarex here. Welcome to another Mercenary Thoughts from the Innersphere, episode 433. And today we're going to be talking about the Centaur, another Protomech that's in the mix, kind of a cavalry style little guy. It is a 5-ton, so yeah, it's getting up there. Hey, it's the same tonnage as the Savannah Master. Yeah, but the Savannah Master is a lot faster. All right. This Centaur. All right, so it is a 690 moving little Protomech, which puts it in the same class as probably around the cavalry style mechs for a little guy. It actually kind of useful for its different configurations that we're going to be going through. It has 20 points of armor on board, so it's a little bit better armored than your typical 2-ton Protomechs that we first introduced. So, yeah. So it can handle an engagement with battle armor a little bit better. So it's a little bit better armored than your typical Protomechs that we talked about, the 2, 3, and 4-tonners. Now, this Centaur has a different kind of weapons loadout for the different kind of versions. Now, the Prime version is running around. Let me bring it up here on the... All right, the Prime. It's a 6'9" mover, 5 tons, has a LRM-3 in the torso and an SRM-2 in the torso. So it does have a weapon system that goes out to 21. So, yeah, it's only a 3, but you combine it out with a bunch of other ones. And trust me, from someone that's been peppered a lot of times with these things in one of the games that we played, yeah, if you got a slow-moving mech, it can be a nuisance, let me tell you. And then, with backing up that SRM-2 for short range, we have an ER micro laser that goes out to 4. So we have an SRM-2 go to 9, the LRM goes out to 21, like your typical LRM, and then we have an ER micro laser going out to 4 for 2 points. So it's death by 1,000 paper cuts with this thing, if you get it too close to you. All right, comes in 192 battle value, so it's not that expensive. So, yeah, you're looking under 1,000, just a hair under 1,000. Was it 8 times 960 points for bog standard point of 5 of these guys. So, starting to go up there in the battle value on the battlefield. You're getting up into where you're starting to think about maybe a light mech instead. But you have 5 that can cause some issues, let me tell you. Now, it's been brought up in some of the other comments, in my previous Protomechs. I would not increase the gunnery on these things. I just go out there as a base 4 as my gunner. They're harassment style engagement platforms. So, you look at the battle value, it's not all that great. Hurting you. So why would you put a lot of effort into something that just more of a harassment system? Now, if you're facing off against like Inner Sphere, you're going to be fairly balanced with their battle value when it comes to these things. Your typical Inner Sphere pilot's gunnery is going to be 4. Sometimes you can have some 3s. If you want to upgrade a few of the individuals, but typically they're going to be 4, so they're going to be on par with each other. And sitting there with an engagement, running around and peppering somebody with some LRM 3s for 1 to 3 points of damage per, not bad. Now, the other thing to think about is putting in specialist ammo in the LRM. I would think about Thunder. It's like laying down some minefields. Hey, drop some fast cam right over there. Hit him hard. Lay down some barrage of denial area effect weapons. So you're doing some plinky damage to people's legs. That would be something I would think about. doing with that LRM, or maybe a couple of them. If you had a point to 5, think about maybe throwing a couple of them in with some specialist ammo, so you can. It's like if you're doing a city fight, and there's like an area you want to do some deniability. It's like, all right, almost like put a layer effect in this street alley. And it's like, all right, they got to come through here, lay down a barrage of minefields. It's like layer, 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 layer. It's like 2, 3 layers deep. So if they go through, they're going to be taking some hits on the legs. Hey, why not help yourself out? Or forcing them, channeling them to areas that you want them to go through. It's like, oh, there's a minefield right there. Hey, okay, I don't want to go through there. So they're going to go through a different area where you can maximize your firepower to your best advantage. Things you think about doing. So I could easily see doing that. The other thing is with the SRM2s, they might be useful for, it's like keep the LRMs as a number damaging LRM, and then move the SRM2s into carrying, like throwing down a smoke barrage. Even the LRMs could be a smoke barrage, even though they're not that strong of a smoke barrage. So, yeah, it's like something to lay down barrages of smoke and minefields, and then just rely on that ER micro laser as your damage output. Yeah, it's only 2 points damage, but you can go in there and start causing havoc. It's like, hey, I'm going to deny this area over here, lay down some cover for myself here, and then just go in and start harassing somebody in the late part of the game. Get in behind, start hitting them in the back. Because you do have some speed with these things. They're 6.9. That's not that bad. So that's something to think about with the Prime version. All right, so then we move into the number 2, the Centaur 2. All right, this one carries a SRM2 that goes out to 9. And you have a heavy small laser that's a 6-point damage. That only goes out to 3. It's 154 battle value per, so it's a little cheaper. So you might consider maybe throwing a couple of these in. Let's say you got a point of, let's say, some of the primes, some of the Centaur 2s. Throw them in there. But the only thing is it's the heavy. It's like heavy small laser. So there is that issue possibly you have to think about. So with a heavy, are you thinking maybe throwing in a 3-gunner to offset the heavy tags? So it's like, do you not, or just leave it the way it is at a 4-gunner and then just take it on the chin when it comes to that, and just get in there and start causing havoc, because it's still only a 6.9 moving platform for a Protomech. So this might be one of those ones, if you had 2 points of Protomechs, like the ones like the fire support one, and something like this that has to get in close, this is help you channel someone into an area. If you got some fast movers on the other side, this was brought up in the previous video, where use them as a blocking force. That's a wall. If they don't have jump jets on their mechs, you can use these to prevent them from going through an area, which is actually a pretty good tactic. For a cheap, putting up a cheap fence. Hey, it's a movable cheap fence. Force them to slow down. If you can slow down a light mech, or force it into some terrain that they don't want to go through, to just keep on moving, trying to get around you, that could be into your benefit to help kill them. You have to look at the battlefield layout and see how that best can help you, but that's something to think about. So these are kind of your knife fighters, getting in close. Then we have the Centaur 3. All right, okay, I like these. Not faced off against these before. Centaur 3, it's still a 6.9 mover, has a battle value of 238, so it is it's expensive. But it carries around an ER medium laser that goes out to 15. So just think about something that's equivalent of having an intersphere large laser running around as a 6.9 mover. and you could have a point of 5 of these. And I've faced off before against like 3 points of these things before. And yes, probably, if I remember, some were 3s, some were mostly 4s for their gunnery. But you throw enough dice at the wall, something's going to stick, and they start doing damage to you. And he backed them up with some mechs, fire support mechs. They did a layer effect where you had some knife fighters, you had some mid-range ones, which is, these are your mid-range protomechs. And then they had the long-range support mechs, just raining down barrages upon barrages of LRMs on us. So you get the ones that get them close, knife fighters. You got the mid-range guys like these that try to get into the medium to short range and just start tearing you up. And then it's a layer cake of nastiness. The only thing is they're probably not going to have too many of these, because once you start looking at it, the price starts going up when you have a bunch of these. Yeah, 238 point battle value. That's starting to get up there to the point where you might consider just taking a light mech or a medium mech, depending on what variety you want to take for the battle value. But hey, it works pretty decently. Like I said, if you had 10 of these guys and they need 7s or 8s to hit you, about maybe a half to a third will hit. That's a bit of damage that's going to be dished out every turn. And that's a lot of targets to try to take out too. Like, it's going to take a while. Well, if you're taking care of the Protomechs, trying to take them out, the mechs behind them are still doing the damage. So it's like one thing or the other. You can shoot the distraction that's kind of taking armor off you, or do you hit the big thing that's taking a lot of armor off you and ignore it? It's like, give your enemy an opportunity to spin in circles trying to figure out how to deal with everything. Works pretty good. Then we have the Protomech number 4, Centaur. All right, this one has an SRM-1. An SRM-1 be something where I'd throw Inferno in. Yeah, that's another option you can think about for your knife fighters, is throwing Inferno rounds in. Laying down fire, burning buildings, lighting up wood lines and stuff like that. That might be a good option with the SRM-1s, or even the SRM-2s in the previous versions. So that's an option right there with Infernos too. Then it has an AP Gauss rifle. All right, that goes out to 9. So this screams anti-infantry. So if you're fighting against the combined arms of individuals that, heck, even battle armor, throwing some Infernos into the SRMs, that can do a good number on some unsuspecting battle armor trooper running around. He's like, yep, hey, here, you're on fire, hitting vehicles, that type of thing. Then the AP Gauss rifles, good for mowing down infantry. Not bad. That's useful. But it comes in at a price of 228 battle value. And the other nice thing about this one does have a burst of speed. It does have mask. So with the mask on board, it's a 6-9-12. So if you engage the mask for a turn, do a burst, fly across, do 12, you have the opportunity to do 12, 10 or 12 range to be able to get in behind somebody, make use of it, and then take a turn off. Every other turn have your burst of speed, so hopefully you don't tear yourself up. So there's that. Not a bad little platform when it comes to it. So I can see the usefulness of as an anti-infantry, anti-vehicle. Because if you load up the Infernos on the SRM and you hit vehicles, you're doing crits on them. Because if they're not designed to handle the heat, you roll on the crit table. So that's a good thing. So that is the Centaur that I have for mech sheets. But now there's another one that's the variant. It's the Centaur Z Zulu. Developed by the Society. This uses a ER micro laser and an LRM-4 with a magnetic clamp so that it can move on the battlefield more efficiently. So now you have something, a magnetic clamp is what you can use to attach to Omnimechs, I believe. Let me double check. I think it is. Developed by Smoke Jaguars for battle. Yeah, okay. All right, so yes. And that's a pretty heavy thing to be latching onto a mech. That's a lot of tonnage. That's way overweight. It's like, I wonder if they got any special rules for something that's overweight. But anyway, having an ER micro laser, not bad. Then having a battery of LRM-4s. The LRM-4s, I could see, something with the clamps dropping off a point to these guys someplace. If you have, fire moth or something that's really light, heck, you'd be carrying more tonnage than the actual mech itself, if that is possible. And drop them off someplace really quick, and then use them as a fire support base with the LRM-4s launching out. You get, 10 turns with a fire with the LRM-4? And then you have the ER micro laser, so it's like park someplace in a wood line, launch a bunch of missiles until they go click, 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 empty, and then move out with ER micro lasers to cause some damage. Or harassment, however you like to do it. So, and this one comes in at, they don't even say what the battle value of that one is, but it's got to be similar to the original. 192, so it's got to be around 190 to 200 range, somewhere in there. So, for battle value. So useful, I can see that. Okay, so that is the Centaur. Kind of an interesting little platform. Could be useful on the battlefield. As they progressively get heavier, you're seeing more weapon systems and being more a nuisance than anything. All right, so that's it. Hope you guys like it. Like and subscribe, share with your friends, and we'll see you in the next one. Elk Rex out.